comment here real quick from Super Chat. Ryan Isbell wrote, and Wolfpack has been fighting to get money out of politics for 14 years. How's that going for them, Cenk? Your own logic for Nancy Pelosi used against you. Oh, you're so clever, Ryan.
And not even 30 seconds later.
Is someone on our side who doesn't agree with me 1%? Well, I'm the god. I set left-wing policy. So if he doesn't agree with me 1%, burn it down. What did you build? And my answer for the radical left is, so far in my history, in having done this for 25, 30 years, the radical left has built nothing. They are destroyers.
So this right here was the scene last night in a roughly 6-minute and 45-second segment from TYT that I had to bookmark from Twitter because I had to actually get it from another channel, which of course was a leftist channel called The Vanguard, which we'll be talking about here in this video very, very shortly. But it seems to me like Cenk is starting to lose it with his own side. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say this, go ahead and telegraph this, and then, of course, I'm going to come back at the very, very end of the video, and I'm going to reassert the same point. Cenk, in a lot of ways, did this right here to himself. As a matter of fact, the ones who are angry with Cenk because he's not left-wing enough for them, he went out of his way to radicalize. So, this right here, of course, no matter how hard he tries, this right here is a result of his own doing. Now, guys, before we fully dive into this and I give you guys some background on what's been going on and what's actually happening here, I want you guys to please make sure that you are still subscribed. If you are new here, if you just now clicked on this video, please consider subscribing if you like this type of content. Make sure the notifications bell is on, and also to go on top of that there, it's the best way to support this channel, and by the way, it's free. Also, something else too, if you guys could please hit that like button, please hit that thumbs up button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps the video out in the algorithm, and let us go ahead and get into this. So, TYT, especially Cenk in particular, he has had this spat with Francesca Fiorentini. I'm going to link this video right here in the description box. Apparently, she believes that men should be allowed to play in women's sports, and especially Messi, because Messi supposedly looks a little bit feminine, according to her, which I think is kind of funny, kind of odd. Don't worry, you'll see there in that video, which, by the way, we linked in the description box. But the thing is this right here. Cenk has been going at it with Francesca Fiorentini for a while now on this issue, and yet Cenk has also found a way to make appearances on Dr. Phil as a bit of an overture to the right. An overture that I believe will fail massively, and I think I've even talked about it on a couple of occasions on this channel, but yeah. Cenk is going at it with his own side, and quite frankly, it is not pretty. And I think that the person who's been most instrumental in telling Cenk what to do and how to handle this, or get up on the ball, has been his co-host, Anna Kasparian, as you guys will see here.
That Francesca Fiorentini is currently attacking you about this as if Donald Trump is unique. He's novel compared to past presidents, certainly a special kind of evil that we've never seen before. In her mind, these are the gulags that she was warning about. But in fact, this has been a long-standing practice. You can be against that practice, but Donald Trump isn't doing anything new here.
Yeah, so I'm going to address it. I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Yeah,
but continue. Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to
but
excuse
she's
that.
Getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing if she's not attacking TYT? But anyway, continue, Cenk.
Yeah.
What she's saying right there, the dishonesty is not okay. That is Anna Kasparian saying one of a few things. Either A, you call Francesca Fiorentini out, or you put her in her place. Because Francesca, she went on her show, The Bitchuation Room, and basically said this.
This is the same person who told me that as long as they're deporting the criminal undocumenteds, that's all hunky-dory. Laughed in my face about there ever being any kind of detention camps. Hello, Guantanamo. Capitulates to the right-wing framing that Venezuelan gangs from Trinidad are taking over everywhere, and we've got to get rid of them. Meanwhile, they're innocent Venezuelans being held in Guantanamo right now. What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and fucking share a stage with Dr. fucking Phil, what did it get you? Nothing. You know why? 'Cause you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Or you get her back on stream, debate her, actually defeat her. But then again, at the same time, though, Francesca Fiorentini, she's like in her 40s. She tries to act like she's like in her 20s. Me personally, I don't like hide my age. I know I'm getting old, but still the point is this right here. Francesca Fiorentini is extremely immature. She's been on Piers Morgan several times. She's been put in her place several times, been defeated in debates. But of course, she, like Emma Vigeland, of course, still believes that biological men should be playing in women's spaces, women's sports. Basically, if you just say that you're a woman or if you feel like a woman, that right there is pretty much the rule here. Yes, I know YouTube is probably going to limit the ads in this video. And they're probably going to limit the ads on one of my videos that I'm going to have out tomorrow that I'm going to go ahead and make this afternoon. Still, though, that's not the point of this video. The fact of the matter is this right here. Cenk is dealing with a bit of a revolt of his own network. That is actually what's going on here. Still, though, at the same time, what do you think Cenk would ultimately end up doing? Well, at some point in time, he was probably going to get frustrated and blow up at his own audience, which we shall get to in a second. But Francesca Fiorentini is not the only one who is upset with Cenk. Take those fellas over there at the Vanguard, the one with the long hair. I guess he thinks he's a Jason Mewes lookalike. He looks like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. I guess that's the look he's trying to go for. They're not exactly happy with Cenk going on with Dr. Phil and having a conversation. By the way, I'm going to talk about Dr. Phil very, very briefly in this video after you guys see this clip here, because I do think it does matter in the broader context of what's going on. But let me roll this.
Example, Al Green in the beginning. It's like there was no point to that. Nobody could even hear what you're saying. It makes our side look bad. There's just no point to it. It's counterproductive, right?
Oh, so let's hear that one more time. He agrees with Dr. Phil's framing his situation that it was the Democratic Party that was out of line last night. Thankfully, since Al Green actually did something, now the media has that to talk about, and they have him to ask why he did that thing. Cenk knows this, but he wants to coddle this right-wing narrative. He wants to scold Democrats, including this black Democrat from Texas, to say that he was out of line. Are you fucking kidding me? Can you believe the disrespect?
No, what he's doing is he's doing the most pick-me bullshit, right? He's like, oh, I'm one of the good Democrats. Please continue to have me on your show. I'm financially destitute. I need your money. I need your checks. I can't pay myself. That's what I'm seeing from this right now. I am 100% convinced after watching this because he's not happy here. Guys, this is not Cenk's element. I have watched Cenk own a room. I've watched him be in his element, and I've watched him do all of that while lying through his teeth. This ain't it. This is Cenk Uygur. He's a Nazi. Cenk goes ballistic on Donald Trump.
That last guy who spoke, Cenk has never really and truly owned the room. The most that he does is he just interrupts and freaks out and goes crazy and hijacks the room. That's not really owning the room, all right? And oftentimes he's actually been stomped in the ground when it comes to that. However, seeing Cenk on Dr. Phil, though, is kind of impressive in a lot of ways because Cenk has not acted up in front of Dr. Phil, which, of course, I don't think many people would because Dr. Phil, quite frankly, is a pretty calming, disarming person. Disarming, not disarming. You guys know me. I'll leave the mistakes in the videos anyways because you guys know how I am. I'm pretty raw when I do this. But here's the thing. I did say I was going to talk about Dr. Phil momentarily. I remember last year when Dr. Phil came out and endorsed Donald Trump, a lot of people were waiting for the Joe Rogan endorsement, which Rogan would eventually do. But he did that like the day before the election when over 2/3 of the country had already voted. Let me say this. I am 100% confident that Dr. Phil's endorsement, if it does actually do anything, would have done a lot more for the Trumpster than Joe Rogan's endorsement. The reason why is because Joe Rogan's audience, which by the way would have more than likely already had their made up who they were going to vote for, they typically tend to have a lot of libertarians and people who don't vote in their audience, where it is that Dr. Phil's viewers, mostly people who are elderly, people who are beyond a certain age, they historically actually go vote. So yeah, Dr. Phil's endorsement would have been much, much more effective. But let us get back to this. So basically what Cenk is doing is he's making overtures towards potential conservative influence, which, by the way, Dr. Phil's not a conservative influence. He's just a psychologist who just happens to have a certain audience. But still the point, which, by the way, like I said before, a very, very disarming guy is what Phil McGraw is. But still, yeah, you guys see where I'm going with this. So Cenk has been trying to be a little bit friendlier to the right. He's been going on shows like Patrick Bet David podcast. He's been going on with other conservatives. He's been on with Charlie Kirk. And by the way, Charlie Kirk may come up a little bit later on this week because I think that little bit with Gavin Newsom, I think a lot of people are getting the wrong idea there, but that's a different video, different day. The point is this right here. Cenk is, at least on the surface, trying to talk to the opposition, which I can tell you guys right now he never really did before, and that was probably his biggest problem. So when one of his viewers decides to have a super chat, which by the way they probably paid anywhere between $5 to $20 to get said chat, get his question answered, yeah, Cenk had a bit of a meltdown. Let's watch.
Party, the establishment Democrats came in and just torpedoed Wolfpack. They called all the state legislators at the Democratic level and said, don't you dare be in favor of a convention. And they did overwhelming propaganda. And they even have liberal hosts like Tom Hartman doing dumbass propaganda against a convention that could get you an amendment and actually bring you real change and take money out of politics. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna blame those poor guys because you'd like to score a point against me? Okay, fine, blame me. I didn't magically get money out of politics, even though we've been trying so effing hard for the last 14 years. Are you happy now? Okay, okay, great. Oh, you failed at getting money out of politics. What the hell did you do? Tell me who's this idiot, Ryan, moron, what did you do?
Okay, now guys, I didn't fill you in on the actual topic they're discussing. You're talking about Wolfpack. You see, Cenk's thing at one point in time was getting money out of politics. Cenk's thing also at one point in time was to put out a book called Justice is Coming that you had to pre-order, or it was available for pre-order for roughly 5 or 6 years before the book even came out, which made me think he was being a bit of a, I'll just say it made me think that he might be ripping off his audience. But still, though, the point is this right here. Cenk's thing at one point in time was to try to get money out of politics. Well, it didn't work. It didn't go anywhere. Now, as far as the liberal media, propaganda, all that stuff there, I'm not going to dive too far into that, but let me just go ahead and say this. Cenk, the Vanguard, the Serfs, even Kyle Kalinske to a certain degree, the left-wing streamers, the left-wing commentators, that is not actually a full representation of the Democratic Party. I know it sounds crazy, but let me explain. Of the Democratic Party, I would say probably anywhere from maybe 12 to 15%, maybe even 20%, identify with Cenk's line of thinking. By the way, Cenk Uygur called Jimmy Dore right-wing, and Jimmy Dore is much further to the left than Cenk Uygur is. He may not be as much now, but seeing how Jimmy's been red-pilled a little bit, but the same thing goes for Glenn Greenwald. He was called far-right, yet Glenn Greenwald is further to the left than Cenk Uygur. By the way, I have my reservations about trusting him. Just saying. But the point is this right here. It's not that much of the Democratic Party, and I think that Cenk is finally beginning to see this. I think it was Stephen Michael Davis did a video on this, which I'll try to link in the description box, even though I don't really, but it was very, very good. It was a very astute observation. I think he was basically trying to say that he thinks that Cenk's attitude post-election was more cope than anything else. And he's coping with the fact that the vast majority of the talking points, the vast majority of the lines that he has been throwing out there on the American people hasn't exactly panned out, and that America itself, the American people, don't exactly share the same views as Cenk does. And I think he's finally starting to wake up and see that. So him getting frustrated with his audience, which is also completely and totally out of touch with the mainstream part of America, yeah, okay? But there is one more thing before I want to move on. That 15%, that fringe 15%, well, of the Democratic Party itself, there's about, at least about 85% total. Of the 85%, I would say that probably a quarter of those are what you call blue dogs, okay? Where it is the other portion are mostly just Trump deranged liberals who get their news from very, very bad sources. It's as Mr. Reagan always says, it's not the fact that they're dishonest or they don't know anything. It's just the fact that they know a lot that just is not true. Another video for another day. Let's get back on track.
Out of politics. What did you do to improve the Democratic Party? What did you do to defeat Trump? What did you do productive? What did you build? What did you build? Did you build anything? No. So unfortunately, we have a giant left-wing spectrum, okay? There's a tiny percentage at the very, 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 very end of it. And all they like to do, because they're radicals by nature, that's why they're at the end of the spectrum. They think maximum super extreme policies on everything drive the American people to hate our entire side and never build anything. Never be productive, instead burn everything down. Oh, there's someone on our side who doesn't agree with me 1%? Well, I'm the God. I set left-wing policy. So if he doesn't agree with me 1%, burn it down. What did you build? And my answer for the radical left is so far in my history, in having done this for 25, 30 years, the radical left has built nothing. They are destroyers. All they do is destroy. So I'm not interested in that. So if you're radical left and you want the most extreme policies that the American people absolutely hate, and you want to tear down everyone else on the left, I'm going to fight you.
I was getting a lot of really good still shots when I was trying to edit this because I'm doing it through my phone. And just look at some of the ones I got. There's probably going to be more over the course of the video because, of course, as I record this, I still watch it, then go back and re-watch it, come up with the argument, because it's kind of a reactionary video, but still the point is this right here. These still frame shots of Cenk Uyghur's face, the facial expressions just losing it, to me are just absolutely priceless. Now, what he's really talking about is the stuff that he put in his book, Justice is Coming. It's part of the reason why I'm going to link the Stephen Michael Davis video in the description box of this video here. I advise you guys listen to it because he goes through the positions in that book, and he basically asserts that progressives are actually the favorite, not the underdog, and everybody agrees with their worldview. That's how far gone Cenk is. But also at the same time, it has to have been one massive gut punch to him to see his entire political worldview absolutely destroyed and absolutely shattered. But if I didn't tell you guys before what's probably going to happen here in the near future, trust me, I'm going to be bringing that up over the course of this video right here at the very end. But we'll get to that. Let's get back to this.
I'm not going to say, oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh, are you going to cancel me? Or are you going to, you're going to say some bad things about me? You already do anyway, because you're a bunch of morons. So come at me, come on, let's go. And all reasonable people, all people who actually.
I'm sorry, I can't help but smile at this. I just can't help it, but there's more.
Even 99% of Democratic voters who actually want to get positive things done in this country, who want paid family leave, who want Medicare for all, who want these things, higher wages, who cares about the American people, and who doesn't want to play silly culture wars. I'm more pure, I'm more, me. Okay, I'm not interested in your crap. Take your crap somewhere else. Don't worry, there's a million shows now. They'll feed you that crap every day, that crap sandwich. Oh yeah, we're the purists. Yeah, yell Nazi louder. Oh, I'm sorry, I burned them down, What did you burn down other than the Democratic Party, other than the left, other than a single accomplishment? You've never fought for any of the bills. You've never fought for policy. This audience has.
Cenk, you might want to look in the mirror, but of course, self-reflection is not exactly something that is, it's a pretty foreign concept to the U.S. progressive left. That's the term I'm going to use now for right now. The U.S. progressive left. So that way classical liberals don't get confused. All right? Because they'll come in here and say, you need to learn to separate Democrats from liberals. Okay. U.S. progressive left. I'll grant you that. But Cenk, you really need to look in the mirror on this one, buddy, because if I remember correctly, after the whole forced to vote debacle, you played the purity game when it came to Jimmy Dore. As I mentioned earlier, you said Jimmy Dore was right wing. Jimmy Dore is further to the left than you. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Dore is the result of your left wing radicalization. Same thing with Glenn Greenwald, same thing with so many other people on the left. You've played the purity spiral a lot. Now, Cenk tries to dress it up by saying he's being strategic, and the truth be told is, and I've made a video on this right before, Cenk doesn't even understand political strategy very well because everything that he has predicted, or at least everything that he has guessed or wanted, he's been wrong on. However, there is one case where his political instincts were actually correct, which I may do another video on, or I may have already mentioned in other videos. But him flipping out and losing it with a super chatter with one of his audience members, it at this point in time doesn't really surprise me. But there is a little bit more.
For policies and for positive results, we fought for Bernie, we fought for progressive pledge, we fought for the populist plan, we fought for $15 minimum wage. We fought for all of these things. And yes, at Wolfpack, I'm so proud of those guys. They fight with all that they have for it. Wolf-pack.com. For God's sake, if you're gonna try to burn someone's house down, go for it. I know you pyromaniac loser radicals, that's all you have in your arsenal. But once, when you're at home, can you just ask yourself, look in the mirror and go, wait, have I ever built anything in my life? Instead of just yapping, have I actually tried to pass a bill? Have I for 1 second thought, how do I help people? How do I pass a bill that affects people's lives? How do I get people elected? How do I get them elected? What happens after they get elected? How do you hold them accountable? No, all you've ever done is, I am so pure. Since I have the most radical policies, since I'm the least popular person in America, I'm the purest. Yes, but what's that?
I am so pure. I think I want to clip that and use it because, I mean, it's kind of hilarious. Cenk, you did this to yourself, buddy. Okay, this right here is what happened. You and TYT did this to your own audience. All right, and by the way, they're starting to see that everything you've said, none of it has come true. But there is some more, which of course I had to file down for the purposes of time. But let me let this last part play out, and I'll tell you what ultimately happens after you guys see this. But let me roll it.
How do you actually help the average American? Oh, you haven't thought of that. Of course you haven't. Now watch. After this, of course, it'll go viral because like the guys, what do they call that thing at the bottom of a boat? Whatever they are, right? After they get this and they'll do videos about it, like, oh my God, we got more videos on Young Turks. Well, we're such losers that our whole lives are centered around the Young Turks. What pathetic losers. Oh, I criticize Young Turks for a living. You must be so effing proud. Okay, so they'll get this, and then you know what they'll do in the next day? All of a sudden, the radical left, the 13 losers online, will go then and be like, oh yeah? Oh no, we had a plan all along. We had a plan all along. What was our plan? What was our plan to get people elected and pass bills and get Medicare? Oh right, we yelled Nazi louder than you. Which voters did that win over? How did that help get to the right conclusion? Conclusion. What's your goddamn plan? And watch, they will all pretend to have a plan. Right now, you go back and watch their videos early. Did they ever have a plan for passing anything that helped your life? Zero. And now they'll pretend they have a plan, but I can't wait for them to pretend because they're gonna come up with the most comical, dumbest plans in the whole world. Well, if you're more pure and you sign for the most extreme policies, we will magically win. Okay, where's the goddamn magic? What is step 2? What is step 3? How do you actually help the American people? But you don't care about the American people. You don't care about the left.
Okay, so obviously you guys can see the left-wing civil war, or at least Cenk Uygur losing it with his audience. Like all these overtures to the right, yeah, someone like Dr. Phil, he'll let you come on, talk to him, but even his patience has got limits. Which, by the way, Dr. Phil's not even really on the right. Like I said before, he doesn't even get involved in politics. Still, the point is this right here. Cenk, you did this to your own audience. You radicalized them. You radicalized them for years. So what the hell do you expect them to do when they see you begin to, I don't know, shift? Like I said before, people like Jimmy Dore, people like Glenn Greenwald, other radical far leftists, which like I said before, Jimmy I actually like, okay? Jimmy I actually like. Glenn Greenwald I'm not so sure about because they've wisened up over the past few years. This right here is the end result of all that radicalization. Which brings me to what I think is going to happen to the progressive left going forward. I have said that this country, or at least the Democratic Party, the left, over the next 10 years, I believe it's so radical, so divided, so messed up, so hooked on wokeness that at some point in time it's going to fracture into multiple pieces. Kind of like what's going on in Canada. The difference is that the right will be the dominant faction here. Or some form of the right will be the dominant faction. Even if the Republican Party is not really that conservative, more moderate, more right-leaning moderate nowadays, the party of common sense, I think what will happen is that the basic Democratic Party is probably going to fracture. Some will go to the Republican Party. Some, of course, will form their own factions, their own coalitions. And I think that the coalition that they're probably going to more likely go into is probably going to be outright ardent communism. You're probably thinking to yourself, they're already communists. No, in reality, they're closer to being fascists and Nazis than anything else. That right there is the real truth. What these people always accuse you of, this right is what they are guilty of. That right there is the real truth about the situation. But still, though, at the exact same time, that's probably what's going to happen. These people are probably going to get more radical now that they have seen that Cenk has, in their view, kind of sold them out. They're probably going to want to study a lot more Marx and crap like that, and they're probably going to go become full-blown Marxists, which, of course, is pretty much what progressives are. Let me say it again. They just don't seem to understand it. However, there is some differences between that brand of Marxism, which, by the way, is communism, and these crazies here. Like, for example, Karl Marx was an outright ardent racist. By the way, Soviet Union, PDF files, they got bullets. The Democratic Party right now is currently housing all these people, all these crazies, maps, stuff like that there. So you're probably going to see the purity test over the next few years yeah, you're probably going to see it get tested like crazy. But will TYT ultimately fully turn on Cenk? Well, it looks to me like it's kind of sort of happening already, and Cenk, of course, is responding the wrong way. You don't win people by screaming and hollering at them, but of course, Cenk Uyghur's got to do that. And I think he's just now waking up to the realization that, yeah, my way has not been working. And like you guys will see in the Stephen Michael Davis video, he's coping with the fact that nobody in this country really and truly likes progressives. But you guys see what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section. The video that I have on Candace Owens will be coming out tomorrow, as well as the Whitlock Jeremy Boring beef. And I have a couple of videos coming out this week about the beef in the NBA. LeBron James telling Stephen A. Smith to keep his son's name out of his mouth. Crap like that there. That stuff right there will be coming out a little bit later on this week. And I'm a little behind on that, but trust me, you guys will be impressed. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.